I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBM, we're diving into an amazing book. It is called Curtain Call for a Killer. It is a thrilling murder mystery set in the gritty glamour of 1960s Manhattan. It's written by two amazing authors, David Christopher and Gary P. Cohen, and they take readers into the underground world of drag clubs, off-Broadway stages, and LGBTQ history, all while weaving a suspenseful tale of murder, friendship, and identity. If you love whodunits, historical fiction, and stories that highlight both community and crime, this page turner is your next must read. We're delighted to have these talented authors join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put them on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like them by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing their amazing book. The links are below this interview. Gary, David, thank you both so much for joining us here today.
Our pleasure. Yep.
This is an amazing book. Is it born out of your real life experiences somewhat? I know you probably didn't witness any murders or anything, but
Or commit any. Yep.
or admit it.
This definitely began with my memories in New York at the time as an actor in New York in the 60s. So that's where it sort of started. Actually, that started exactly the way the book does, in that I walked down Fifth Avenue recently, a few years ago, and I looked into a lobby, and I recognized the lobby as a place that I had worked back in the 60s. It's true, that is true. So that little instant at the very beginning of the book is true. Then, of course, I went home and thought about it, and I thought, this might make a good story. And I started writing it with that as the beginning, and dealing with the time that I spent in New York as a young actor.
Gary, tell us a little bit about your role in this. So David comes up with the idea and wants a collaborator, obviously.
Well, what we've been doing for the last couple of years is I sort of edit some of the plays and stuff David has been writing. I do my little comments in Word, but I had just finished my first novel, and this one intrigued me. So what started out as merely my editing and adding some contribution wound up co-authoring. And David was in charge of the love story side, the human side, the gay side, and I was in charge of the cops and the murder mystery, which was up my alley.
So you had your division of duties there. I think that's interesting, of course.
Definitely. Yeah. Well,
Have
let me
you
add
envisioned-
something. I'm going to add something. I had actually started writing this all by myself without Gary at all. And I got a certain distance in it. And I said, oh, I like this, but I don't know where it goes. I don't know who done it. I have no idea of the plot of what this murder mystery is supposed to be. And I asked Gary, would you read this? And he did. And he said, oh, I could come up with some interesting plots. And that's really how we started working together.
Wonderful. I think using two brains, if you do have a great relationship, it can be very, very powerful in crafting a work because you take the best of both brains and put it into the book. And obviously that's evidenced here by this wonderful work that you've created. Have you envisioned this perhaps as a film or a stage play, since you both have backgrounds in theater?
From your mouth, whatever the expression is. We just hope people will read it right now, but I think it would make a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think the setting alone, 1960s New York, was so much more interesting than 2025 New York, where everything is Starbucks and the Gap,
Yeah,
you know?
it
And
was
Disney.
different.
Yeah, and theater was more edgy then as well. I
Yeah.
mean, we had the theater greats coming to life, Sondheim and so forth. And today it's all like, take a movie and turn it into a Broadway
Absolutely.
play so everybody will go. Absolutely. David, give the folks at home an overview of the story so they can get a feel for what this is about.
If you want me to do that, well, it is about this young actor who works at a temporary agency called Pacific Mills. And while he's there, he witnesses two people fighting violently. And I won't go into the details more than that much, but except that later he finds out that these two people, one of these people was murdered. And so he gets involved in that somehow. And then as the story goes on, he lives his life as an actor. He gets cast in a play and he's, and meets neat people, but he also is involved in the solving of this murder mystery because he is involved with the police officer who is in charge of it. And that's how he gets involved.
Absolutely. And Gary, tell us about the whodunit part of it, the police investigation part of it, and where the story goes from there.
Well, without giving
Giving away
away
too much.
the ending, the interesting thing was, as we're going along, I don't think either of us predicted the outcome. We let the story progress. And then all of a sudden, I'd say about 2/3 through, I said, okay, here's where I think it should go. And I really didn't even tell David until I wrote the last the second to the last chapter, while we were still 2/3 through it. I sent that to David. He approved it. So the rest of the story fit leading up to that next to the last chapter.
Amazing.
Which revealed the ending.
Yes, exactly. David, talk to us a little bit about the challenges the LGBTQ community faced in the 1960s that you felt were essential to include. Yeah.
Absolutely. This was an era where policemen were attacking bars and dragging people off to jail if they were a gay bar. One of the things I remember vividly was in one of the bars that we would go to, there was a red light above the bar, and it was a gay bar. We were all doing our things, and if that light went on, it meant that somebody was coming in the bar that could be a policeman or somebody that they didn't know. So we all would stand away and not touch anybody and just be reserved because any time, I mean, of course, then soon after that became the riots that caused everything to get a little more open and things to happen. But it was a very tense time. And I must tell you, I was not that involved in the drag world. I pretty much researched that for the book. Because I thought that would be an interesting place for it to go. But that wasn't part of my experience. That was done with research more.
Yeah.
And speaking of the research, the whole flavor of the book as we went along was to set it in a very, very real space, a very, very real time, and include very, very real restaurants, clubs that maybe aren't even there anymore, places like Chumley's. And so we were constantly bringing us to the reality of the 60s.
Yeah. Which I think is great. I think that's why it's such a wonderful, nostalgic ride back into time, because I remember 1960s New York quite vividly. You know, I was young, obviously,
I'm younger than I was, that's for sure.
Those institutions persisted, of course, into the 80s when I was really active in New York City. Like I said, it's been kind of Disneyfied right now. So it's kind of a different thing. You guys have been friends for 50 years. Are a little bit of the protagonist in this book you guys? Are you a little bit of the two men investigating?
No, only me being the young actor. Gary's character is not really involved in it at all, no. Because I didn't know him back then. When this story went on, I hadn't met Gary yet.
Right. Have you thought about adapting it into a screenplay yourselves?
I don't. Maybe Gary does. I'm not.
Yeah, I would try it. Yeah. I'm known for 2 shot on video horror movies that I made in the 80s that have become cult classics. So I've had a little bit of experience with film, but I don't think this would lend itself to a shot on video or a cheapy movie, especially because you'd have to recreate New York.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's the beauty of writing a screenplay. You don't have to be worried about the budgets when you're writing it.
Exactly.
particularly if you're going to, market the screenplay for somebody else to produce it. But I do think it would be wonderful.
Do you know
What do you hope?
anyone?
Go ahead.
No, do you know anyone we could
I'll take a role in it. I'll play one of the cops or something. I don't know.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
on.
I think I could pull off the whole detective type, so we'll
Good.
see. We're always looking for types in the acting world, of course.
Right.
Yeah, without a doubt. What do you hope readers take away from the book?
David, I'll go to you.
I don't know. I just think it's an interesting story. I think that they will take away an understanding of that period. I'm hoping, because a lot of people didn't experience it, and I hope we showed it pretty clearly what was going on at that period. I hope they get involved in who done it and be interested in seeing who done it. I hope, for my part, the character Danny, who stands from me at the time, following his life, not involved in the murder mystery, I think is also interesting. It goes into theater and he gets cast, and I think that that's an interesting story too. And I think Gary encouraged me to write that very separate from the murder mystery. So that's why the parts that are Danny's story are more what I was writing, because I was telling it from my point of view.
I
Wonderful.
also think the reader would be challenged to compare it to the way things are now. All the things that have changed, but sadly, in some respects, the things that haven't changed. There was a preface to the book that didn't make it into the book that talked about what's currently happening with drag queens, where they're trying to read to children and still being prosecuted by the current political climate. So things have changed, and indeed, unfortunately, some things haven't. And I think that's something to take away from the book.
Absolutely. And the name of the book we're talking about today is called Curtain Call for a Killer. It is a masterful blend of theater, tension, and truth that's equal parts gripping and meaningful. Gary, David, thank you both so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was very pleasurable.
I appreciate your time, your insight, and your wisdom. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for GBN. So long for now.